light is red, the kids are in bed, which means it is time for Mile High Musings with me, Aaron Yowell, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Good morning, sunshines. It's your boy, Aaron Yowell, and you are listening to episode 20 of Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I hope you all had a fantastic week and that everyone has bounced back from holiday one of the season, because we are here. It is time for us to go on this morning's show. We're going to talk about the Avs picking up 4 points in 3 games. And we're going to talk about the Nuggets, who've won 4 of their last 5, and yet somehow it feels worse than that. Maybe my expectations of our indoor teams are very skewed, ladies and gentlemen. I almost made that the episode title. We're episode 20. Episode 20, that's awesome, man. We made it to episode 20. That's freaking cool. We're going to take to the campus, check out the happenings in college basketball, and we're going to check in on those Colorado School Mines Orediggers and their continued run through the playoffs. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, I must ask you, how about them Broncos?
Go Broncos!
That's right, Penny Quinn. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, sports fans of all ages, it is time we ascend to the top of the peak and breathe in that rarefied mountain air as I bring you sports takes a mile above the rest. For the last 9 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to keep up with the latest in sports and with our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website, iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and all of our show pages with personal bios and the podcast feed for each individual show, including this one, Mile High Musings. Check out the show page at iesportsradio.com/Mile High Musings. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeve shirts, hoodies, and so much more. For nearly a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans and for the fans, and we thank each and every one of you for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. What's good, sports fans? It's your boy Aaron Yowell from Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and I am super excited to tell you about a new sponsor on the network, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm's Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket beef jerky offers gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. That's my favorite part. This is some of the best beef jerky you can get your hands on. Check them out online, planetjerky.com. Once again, a huge shout out to our sponsor, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that is on a whole other planet. Welcome back to Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And let's go ahead and kick off the show today in the first segment with the defending NBA champions. And my segment title is, What Are These Feelings? Because the Nuggets have won 4 of their last 5 games. And Nikola Jokic has done Jokic things, and in this stretch of 4 out of 5, they won one of the most iconic games in the Jokic era, which we're going to talk about here in a second, but it feels like it's been a lot worse than 4 in a row, and we lost last night. They're in the middle of a ridiculously tough part of their schedule. Jamal Murray is in and out of the lineup. Aaron Gordon has been playing out. And yet they're still finding ways to win basketball games. So let's go all the way back to Sunday after, or I guess it was Sunday evening, last Sunday evening. Nuggets hosted the Spurs and ended up with a 132-120 win. And last week on the pod, I called for a Jokic masterclass because he tends to do that against rookies or young big dudes. And my man's did not disappoint. There was not a lot of highlight from this game. The Spurs are bad. Wembanyama, that kid's... This is a Colorado show, but sometimes you got to talk about the competition. Wembanyama looks like a baby giraffe out there. I'm having lunch with a buddy of mine today who is a diehard Spurs fan, and we're going to talk about it for sure. Also, we're going to talk about the disgusting threads that they wore during that game. I actually texted him and said, "What are these jerseys? They're awful." And he said, "Yeah, not the best jerseys the Spurs have come up with." I'm telling you, I guess I'm an old school homer. I love the Fiesta jerseys for the Spurs. The nostalgia of some of these jerseys, ladies and gentlemen, are what drives me. Squeakiest chair in America. And maybe that's why I like the Broncos colorless jerseys. I don't know. Anyway, Jokic, 39 points. Soundboard double here. 39 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists. MPJ had 25 and Reggie had 20. It's kind of where we get. And then we turn around and we play at the Clippers Monday night. So back-to-back here. And the Nuggets win 113-104. And this is the one that might go down as one of the most iconic games in the Jokic era because this game had no Jokic. Had no Nikola Jokic, no Jamal Murray, or Aaron Gordon. 3 of the big 5 were out and we still won. Father Time rolled back the clock as Reggie Jackson and DeAndre Jordan led the way. It was a Lob City revenge game. Reggie had 35 points, 13 assists, and only 2 turnovers. And DeAndre Jordan had 21 points, 13 boards, and was finishing lobs like it was 10 years ago. It was crazy to watch. And there was one, gosh, I can't remember if it was at the end of the third, right at the beginning of the fourth. He and Reggie ran pick and roll, top of the key. Reggie goes left, kind of down the middle of the lane. And Zubac, I think it was, hedges. Reggie throws it up right-handed, and DeAndre catches it right-handed, one-handed, doesn't put a second hand up there, and just yams it real quick, and then the altitude broadcast kind of zoomed in on DeAndre giving the what kind of look. It was such a funny moment. Such a funny moment. It was the second night of a back-to-back, and the Clippers had all their big dogs, and yet the Nuggets with only 2 starters found a way to be victorious on the road. Wait a minute. Wait. Let me look back. Oh, no, that game was at Crypto. That's a home game for the Nuggets. Yes, that's right. Laugh it up because we still haven't lost a game in Crypto since last season. Clippers can't beat us. They can't. Whew. And we had a day off, and then we played the Rockets at home. This is the 3rd time we've played the Rockets this season. I'm super pumped for them to go away after next week. I'm tired of seeing them. Nuggets ended up winning this one, though, 134-124. The whole Jokic-Şengün matchup is going to get very interesting in the future if the Rockets can find their way out of the gutter. But they do play in downtown Houston, so good luck with that. Jokic had 32 points, 10 rebounds, 15 assists. I mean, Jokic against a young, could-be up-and-coming center. What does he do? Triple-double. 2 games before that against Wembanyama, who's supposed to be the next big thing. Sombor double. Like putting on master classes. Şengün's tough. I think the thing that makes Şengün different than Wembanyama, first of all, a little bit of age and experience. Because Şengün's been in the NBA for a couple more years, but also Şengün's bigger and like stronger. He's thicker. He's not as tall as Wembanyama, but Şengün's prototype Jokic. And it's crazy to think that, like, there are kids out there watching Jokic going, well, I want to play like that. Because back when I was a kid, if I was 7 foot tall, I would have wanted to play like Shaq. Period. End of story. And that shows you how much Nikola Jokic has changed the game and how much influence that he has globally. So, it's crazy. Şengün had himself a good game, but Nuggets, doing Nuggets things. So again, Jokic, 32 points, 10 boards, 15 assists, and we got a major contribution in this one from Mike. Yeah, Mike, who had 30 points and 10 rebounds of his very own. And Mike had a quarter in this one. He came out on fire in the first in particular. Nuggets bench was back in this one, and so was Jamal. Return of Jamal. Jamal had 16 points and 6 assists in 22 minutes, but my man rolled his ankle on his first drive of the game. And usually when I sit down and I watch basketball, especially, well, I can't say especially the Nuggets, but this iteration of the Nuggets, because it's so much more of a team game. I like to see the ball pop. I like to see the off-ball movement, especially with Jokic and Murray out there. I watch the whole floor. I try to watch the whole floor. I try to see the backside action. I try to anticipate what's coming. And I try to see, and I can't because I'm not as good as him. And I have a different angle, right? I have the broadcast angle, which I can see more. But I try to see what Jokic sees. Or Murray, whoever's distributing the ball. I try to see what they see. You know, if my girls ever want to play basketball, it'll just help me help them. Because I felt like I was a player who saw the floor really well. Being 6'7" helps. But I've never keyed in on one player the way I keyed in on Jamal on Wednesday night. I like to watch the whole floor, but every time Jamal was out there, I was only watching Jamal. I was watching his running, his cutting, especially after he tweaked his ankle. After he tweaked his ankle, I was like, oh, homie, you came back too soon. But all things considered, he finished okay. He finished okay. He was frustrated because he hasn't played since, and we're getting there. But I was watching his, I was watching his gait, and it was not great. But it was an emotional boost. It was an emotional boost. The Nuggets bench had 35 points in the game against the Rockets, which was more points than they had in the 2 previous games against the Rockets combined. Again, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see them go bye-bye. We play them one more time this week. Actually, I think a week from yesterday. And then we don't see them again. Because it's a fill-in for the NBA Cup knockout that we didn't make, which whatever. And of course I say that being the defending, being a guy who covers the defending NBA champions, and then we get knocked out. It's like, I don't care about the in-season tournament. I mean, I kind of did because the Nuggets looked like they were taking it seriously. But I knew from jump that the Nuggets were going to be concerned about April. And they were going to work on fine-tuning their game, getting these young guys up to speed, so that when April rolled around, they were firing on all cylinders. I'm still keeping an eye on the in-season tournament. I really hope it's not LA Boston. That would bum me out. Like, give me some teams that aren't perennial powers, just for this first one. And then if the NBA Cup stays around, then let's then let it be perennial powers. I don't care. All right, so Wednesday at home against the Rockets. Then Friday we went to Phoenix, and we pulled out a 119-111 win. Jokic was Jokic, man. And he was a facilitator in this one. 21 points, 16 assists, 5 boards. Mike had 19 and 10. Mike. Justin Holiday filling in for AG, who's filled in for AG this whole time, had 15 points. And he looks like he's a good fit if AG has to go out or if Mike has to go out. If AG goes out and Justin Holiday's filling in, then Mike slides over to the 4, which is really his most natural position. And there's actions and there are things that the Nuggets can do with Mike at the 4. Not that he doesn't end up in the dunker spot like AG, but I mean, he's 6'10". It also forces Mike to play more focused defense, which he did in the playoffs last year. And he has for the most part this year. And I think it's just going to help him get ready for playoff basketball. But, Justin Holiday's filling in nicely. He had 15 points. Reggie had 20. KCP had 15. So a well-balanced night from the starters in this one. And I saw a tweet, I think it was right after the game. Yeah, it was right after the game. to the effect of wait till the Suns are healthy. We'll own the Nuggets. Bruh. We were without 2 of our starters. And we still beat you. And I know they were without 2 of their starters too. And Yusuf Nurkic went full Bosnian beast or whatever and had 31 points. Oh, he owns Jokic. Check that scoreboard, homie. Because Jokic didn't need to score 31 in this one. That's one of the things that I think the non-Jokic lovers out there still don't understand is that Jokic is going to do what Jokic wants. And if he sees that he doesn't need to put up 39 points, he's not going to. Bless you. He's going to put up 21 and he's going to drop dimes. And that's just it. So I love discovering all of the places this year that the Nuggets are still living rent-free. In the heads of Phoenix fans. Crypto. They might as well call that Ball Arena West. That's all I'm saying. And then last night, part of another back-to-back, a road back-to-back. Road back-to-backs are tough. Home road back-to-back, that's tough because of travel. Road back-to-back, super tough because of travel because you're not going home or coming from home at one point. But last night, a 123-117 loss. Jokic, man, if he's not the best player on the planet, I don't understand the game of basketball anymore. He had a triple-double. He had 36 points, 13 boards, 14 assists. Tell me he's not the best player in the world. He should be number 1 in MVP considerations, early MVP considerations. I saw a stat where he leads the league in touches per 100 possessions. And part of that is because he's the focal point. He's the catalyst of the offense. But he's not putting up 40 shots a game or 30 shots a game. He's not a volume shooter. He touches the ball every trip because he's getting guys involved. And if I guess I have to score, then he ends up with a line like he did against the Spurs. 30 and 11, 39 and 11, or 32. He had 2 30-point triple-doubles this week. Stop and think about that. This man had 2 30-point triple-doubles this week alone. Wednesday, Saturday. And yes, this was the loss. And I'm still trying to figure out exactly how we lost this game. AG was back and played pretty well. 17.7 boards, coming off a bruised heel. So think about a guy like AG who's explosive, whose game is above the rim, who relies on his bounce a lot. To have a bruised heel, you're thinking about that jump. So good for AG. Good for AG. I'm still trying to figure out how we lost this game because Jokic goes off. His second 30-point triple-double of the week. And I guess the only thing I can point my finger at and say it is you is that Malik Monk had 26 points off the bench for Sacktown. So, I don't know. That's where I'm at. But Coach is calling a timeout. On the other side, we're going to check in with the Ball Arena roommates. You are listening to Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Check out Taryn Rodriguez and the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on the network. Taryn, the hardest working podcaster in the land. So, segment 2, let's talk about those Colorado Avalanche, ladies and gentlemen. The Avs had 3 games this week, and they picked up 4 points, which again, feels worse than it actually is. Oop, I am so sorry about that. I got to stir the coffee because we got that second cup of coffee going. I realized that one of the things about the Sunday night show that I had going on is that I had more controlled energy. And in the mornings, even though it's early, I feel like I got to get it all out, and I feel like I got to get it out, get it done, and then get back to life. Whereas in the evenings, I guess because I knew my girls were in bed and not getting up, I felt like I had more time to spend with you all. So this is me, coffee in the middle of the show, attempting to spend more time. So let's have a little coffee talk. Coffee talk, throwback to the old SNL skit with Mike Myers. Let's talk about the Avs and the fact that they got 4 points out of 3 games, and it doesn't feel great. And I guess it doesn't feel great because 2 of those points come on overtime or shootout losses to teams that we should or have already dominated this year. But let's go back to Monday. Monday we hosted the Tampa Bay Lightning. Everybody was making a big deal about the rematch of the 2022 Stanley Cup Finals, and let's see what's going on, and it's going to be a heavyweight fight, and it wasn't. It was not. The Avalanche were basically up 3-0 going into the third period. The Lightning got a breakaway goal from Anthony Cirelli. I mean, Avs giving up late period goals again, which is starting to really turn my hair even more gray. But the Avs were dominant in this one. The Avs were dominant through a full 2 periods, and then in the third period, Tampa started really just peppering Georgiev, and Georgiev stood tall. He stopped 38 of 39 shots. He had a .974 save percentage. He was unbelievable. I mean, he was absolutely unbelievable in this game. I think, just thinking about Georgie, and he had some stinkers, y'all. He had some real crap games at the beginning of the year, and goalies are weird. And if you listen to any other podcast or you know a goalie, or goalies can just be a little quirky because they have to be so mentally sharp and so dialed in during a game to have that little rubber biscuit flying at them at 90 miles an hour and stop it and willingly throw their body in the way. But it was a good game for Georgie. I feel like he, played within himself, and then the boys in front of him took care of business. I mean, that goal from Cirelli came with 30 seconds left in the second. So it was what it was. But Ryan Johansson started the scoring with an unassisted goal first period, and then Johansson scored again in the second period. And Ryjo had one of the most beautiful wraparound goals in this game. And all the Ryjo haters, I think I tweeted this after. No, it was after the second period alone. I asked for a roll call of all the Ryjo haters because these last 2 weeks he has been awesome. He's finally scoring goals. He's not facilitating like everybody thought he would, but he's winning faceoffs. He's playing wherever he's asked. And the biggest thing, and I noticed this, I guess, after the game, because he was the first star, and rightfully so. You can tell that Ryjo loves being in Denver. One of the podcasts I listen to calls Nashville a country club, where the mentality is just, oh, yes, oh, hockey, okay. And they call the Avalanche the Wolfpack, because it is business mentality. You better do your job, or you're going to get eaten. And I think Ryjo had a really tough transition into the Wolfpack the first, 10 games or so, but that's a small sample size, and that's what it takes, guys. I think. So, Ryjo scoring 2 goals and being on a little bit of a heater himself these last 2 weeks is really, really encouraging. I mean, and then all hail Kale. Makar with a power play goal, and it was just one of those like sniping wristers. It kind of reminded me of Joe Sakic. Not as much pepper on it, but Makar from the point in the power play with assists from Rantanen and McKinnon on that one. Just, I mean, all hail Kale, man. I'm so tired of this Quinn Hughes. Is Quinn Hughes better than Kale? No, he's not. No, he's not. Go watch games. This is the only year in the last 3 years where Quinn Hughes' stats even come close to Cale's. Even come close. And that's inflated because Vancouver's numbers are inflated. And good for them. If they can sustain it, good for them. But the Avs are the definition of sustainability. Even when they had all those guys hurt last year, they still found a way to win the division and make it into the playoffs. So get out of here with that Quinn Hughes talk. Cale Makar is the best player on the planet. It's really nice to have the best player on the planet in two sports to play inside Ball Arena. It's kind of fun. We've never had that in Denver. We've never had that. Certainly not from the Nuggets. On God. Avalanche, I don't know about best player, but Avs 1.0, as I'll call them, that's that first team. That for those first two cups, basically, when you had Sakic and Forsberg. That was one of the best tandems on the planet, for sure. But, so again, Anthony Cirelli scores with 30 seconds left in the second, and then Nichushkin buries an empty netter, and Nichushkin's on a full-on heater. He didn't get a point last night, but he had a 9-game point streak going into last night. He had that new dad power after the birth of his baby girl, so Val's literally been one of the best players in the league. And it's nice because, we paid him big money, and last year was last year. Whatever happened in Seattle, I don't care. It's none of my business. I don't get paid enough to report on that. But he's coming in and earning that contract, and that's the most encouraging thing. So, big 4-1 win against Tampa. I don't think Tampa's as good as everyone thinks they are because they got absolutely destroyed yesterday by the Stars. And to hear more about that game, you need to check out Heart of Sports Texas on Wednesdays with my boy Drewski. I had a buddy texting me during the Stars game, asking me if I was watching the Stars game, and I wasn't. My daughter had tumbling. We had to go to my grandma's and play a little tech support with her new computer. And when my buddy keyed me in, it was like 6-1 Stars. So, Tampa's not as good as everybody thinks. Thersday night, Avs played at Millett Arena in the AHL, in the college arena, against the Coyotes. And the Coyotes are our kryptonite, man. There's something about the Coyotes. I was driving to a job site on Friday, and I was listening to other podcasts and kind of getting my mind ready for this weekend. And this happened last night, too. When the Avs aren't, I don't know if it's when they're not challenged or when they're not challenged in the way they want to be, they kind of play with their food. Because I believe the Avalanche are an apex predator. I like the Wolfpack analogy. But I feel like in games like the one Thursday night against the Coyotes, the Avs played with their food instead of just burying a team like that. Now, I watched, watching the game and trying to figure out why Arizona's our kryptonite. Arizona's scrappy, and they're a more frenetic, out of control version of what the Kraken are. The Kraken muddy the waters, and they're controlled frustration. The Coyotes are kind of that old school Looney Tunes Tasmanian devil of spinning through a room and not really understanding what's going on, and somehow they destroy everything. It was Avs were up 1-0 at the end of the first. It was tied 2-2 at the end of the third. Tied at 3 at the end of 3, and in overtime, Bo Byram reminded us all about his love of the penalty box. And honestly, if he doesn't take that slashing penalty in overtime, the game's over. And the game is essentially over right at the end of that power play for the Coyotes. Anyway, but Byram had to do what he had to do to save a guaranteed goal. And Avs did, in effect, kill off that penalty. But Byram couldn't get back in the play fast enough, and Arizona ended up scoring. And I kind of thought if we got into a shootout, we might lose it because Arizona's got a couple of young bucks that if they were feeling it, and they kind of were, they might toast us in the shootout. Miles Wood scored, McKinnon scored, Makar scored. He had the big dogs scoring, and Avs scored twice on the power play. So, and McKinnon's was typical McKinnon. Top of the left dot, buried it on a one-time slap shot. I mean, it was vintage McKinnon. You could tell with this celly after the game, he was like, finally. Because he had scored once Last week he had scored once in 7 games and then hadn't scored again until Thursday. So he'd been kind of, not slumping, but he'd been facilitating more than he'd been putting it in the back of the net. So Nate needed one, wanted one. We walk away with a point, but you're kind of like, that though? And then last night, Avs started the first game of a back-to-back. We have Anaheim, and then a game against the Kings tonight, and then against Anaheim again on Tuesday. Avs played with their food again. And this one is so frustrating. So frustrating. We had the company Christmas party last night, and finally get to turn the game on. It's 3-1 Avs. And I'm like, okay, let's go. Bowen Byram with 2 goals in the first period, and Devontae, our only scoring in this game was defenseman, which you look at it in the first period, you're like, oh my gosh, we're about to blow them out. Quack, 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 Mr. Ducksworth. We are about to blow them out of the water. And then you get through the second period and give up 2 goals to tie it up, and you're going, oh no. Turns out our big dogs didn't have it. And this is a team that almost quite literally 2 weeks ago caught the angry Avs after getting blown out 7-0 by Vegas. The Avs put 8 on the Ducks. And I was kind of hoping they'd hang 8 or, at least get a big fat dub against the Ducks in this one because they just lost to Arizona in Arizona. But Avs are playing with their food again. They did. They gave up 2 power play goals in this game, which is so uncharacteristic of the Avs. Our penalty kill has been ridiculous. But you give up a power play goal in the Arizona game and 2 in the Ducks games. I think I saw a stat last night. We had given up 2 power play goals in 9 games. And then all of a sudden we doubled that. No, it was 3 and 9. And then after last night, it's 5 and 10. And that's from a penalty kill that was 90%. Like top 5 in the league. So Avs played with their food last night, all the way to the shootout. Avs missed 3 shots. And Leo Carlson buried one for the Ducks, and that's all they needed. Drouin started it, missed it. Alex Killorn, his shot for the Ducks got saved by Prosvetov. McKinnon shot got saved. Rantanen shot got saved. So if that's, not only did I say the defense was scoring, you get to the third period, you go, oh my gosh, the big dogs don't have it. The big dogs had shots to win it in the shootout, and they missed. So there's that. Coach is calling a timeout on the other side. We're going to go back to college and check in with college basketball and the Colorado School of Mines. You're listening to Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey yo, what's up? It's your man Bishop, the voice of This Is KC Sports, the show where we go over the Chiefs, the Royals, KC Current, Sporting KC, MU, and oh yeah, if we got time, we'll even throw in some of that KU stuff for my people on the 913 South. Come and hang out with us every Sunday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Yeah, we're back. Check out Bishop, KC Sports. Maybe he'll talk about the Chiefs being human this year. I'm just saying.
Go Broncos!
That's right, Penny Quinn. So let's check in with college basketball here around the state. First of all, CSU men's basketball sitting first in the Mountain West and are 8-0 still. This week they had the Rocky Mountain Showdown at home against CU, and they ended up pulling out the victory here, 88-83. It's the first time they'd beaten CU since 2017. And CU was ranked CU had just dropped out of the top 25 going into the game. And CSU came into the game ranked 20, which is crazy. And then the Rams hosted the Washington Huskies last night and won 86-81. Y'all, CSU runs the state right now. I'm telling you. Not really, but in basketball they do. They're playing great, and good for them. Good for them. CU Buffs, only played once this week, and it was that loss against CSU. CU's lost 2 of their last 3. They've got a game against Pepperdine coming up this afternoon. at 3 o'clock. And then they're off for a whole week. So CU needs to get right. They need to get right. They've got games against Pepperdine. They've got today, a week from today, they play number 8 Miami. That game's on ESPN2. And then they get some less intense competition. They play those UNC Bears. And then Utah Tech before Christmas. And then things are really going to pick up because we get into January and we start playing lots of college basketball. But they play in the Pac-12, and the Pac-12 is a solid basketball conference and always has been. Thanks to the likes of teams of Arizona and UCLA. So, CU's got to get right, man. And Tad Boyle, I wish him all the greatness in the world. He was the head coach at UNC while I was attending that college, and I really would have loved to play for him. And when he went to CU, I was like, good on you, man, because UNC made the tournament a couple times. But, they got to get right. They got to figure it out. I think they just got to figure out how their pieces are fitting together. Let's talk Air Force Falcons basketball. Let's talk it. They're sitting 6-2. And they are right behind those Rams in the Mountain West. And the Falcons, ladies and jelly spoons, are on a 5-game heater themselves. They are. They haven't played in a week because, again, college basketball scheduling is weird. But Falcons are on a 5-game heater, and they play Portland today at Portland. Afternoon games. I think afternoon games are so weird. And I know they're college kids, but afternoon basketball games are so weird to me, just like afternoon hockey games. So now, let's go ahead and jump over to the Colorado School of Mines Orediggers. I'm telling you, man, they are rolling, ladies and gentlemen. They are rolling. The Orediggers beat Central Washington 38-14 yesterday. Have won all 3 of their playoff games and are headed... they've won their 3rd straight regional title, and they are advancing to the semifinals. That is just so stinking cool. And as I was reading one of the articles in prep for today, I had to write this down, but the line was, Colorado School of Mines engineered a second-half turnaround. It's like, that's equal parts funny and dumb, because School of Mines is one of the best engineering schools in the nation. And they just keep doing what they're doing, man. John Matocha at 25 yards on 16 completions, no tutties, throw a pick, but he's leading the way. And I just think that, you got Max McLeod, who's still just dominating catching the ball. And the big thing here was that School of Mines ran for 255 yards. 255 yards. You control time of possession at 34 minutes to 25 minutes, and some change. Mines was 2-2 on 4th. They were 4 of 11 on 3rd, but, they had 26 first downs, had more penalties. But if you're able to control the ground game the way that they did, you're going to win football games. And that's one of the things I had been saying about the Broncos. And they finally started doing it. Not that they listen to the show. If they do, great. Hey, guys, let's talk. Hit me up. But you control the ground game. You control, quite literally, your own destiny. So, good for them. And I want them to win the whole dang thing. For sure. On the other side, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take one more break, and on the other side, we're going to talk about the hottest team in the NFL. That's right, your Denver Broncos.
In this house, we praise the Lord and cheer for them Denver Broncos.
You are listening to Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Lentarius Locke.
And we're the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Y'all make sure to give Fast Break a listen. Can't wait for the NBA season to really get into the thick of it. And as we get closer to the playoffs, we've got to talk to the guys, especially seeing where the Nuggets sit. Maybe we can get them on, have them talk Nuggets. Not this early in the morning. God knows that. Maybe we can go back to the old time slot for a special show. Before we hit the gridiron, I do want to shout out the Pios. Denver Pioneers hockey, 11-4 and 1 right now. They had 2 games this last week against number 2 North Dakota and split the series at Magnus Arena. Friday they lost 7-5, and yesterday they won 3-2 in overtime. And in the week before that, they had games against Yale at Magnus, winning 5-0 and 9-0. So, good on the Pios, getting it done. But ladies and gentlemen, it is time to talk about the hottest team in the NFL. That's right, your Denver Broncos.
In this house, we praise the Lord and cheer for them Denver Broncos.
I was thinking about it. I was thinking maybe I need another drop because I've got, my 2 go-to drops, but I love them so much that I just don't care. I want to use those drops. So you're going to hear my baby girl and you're going to hear old man prospector raving about the Broncos. Last week I said that the game against the Browns was the most important game in recent Broncos history, dating back to Super Bowl 50. Because right now, the Denver Broncos are in control of their own destiny. They're in the driver's seat. And if they worry about them and only them, they can end up making the playoffs. And they came out last Sunday and worried about them and only them and won the game. It was the first time in the history of the NFL we had a game end 29-12, but our Broncos did it. Broncos go into the half leading 14-6 and then hang another 15 points on Cleveland in the second half to seal the 29-12 victory. And I want to start by looking at the team stats. As I'm going to tell you right now, Russell Wilson's stats are not going to jump off the page at you. But if you're only looking at the box score and you're not watching the game, those numbers, that black and white on the paper, is not telling the whole story. And I am not saying that Russ is Peyton Manning by any stretch of the imagination. However, and I'm not saying that we're going to win the Super Bowl. However, this iteration of Russell Wilson is like the iteration of Peyton Manning that we had when we won Super Bowl 50. Because in years prior, Peyton was an MVP. He was breaking records. He was diming everybody up, throwing the ball left, right, and center, and dicing defenses. And then as Peyton got older, he had to turn his game to being more of a game manager and picking his spots. Right now, Russ is being a game manager and picking his spots. I don't think it's because he's older or because his arm is failing. I think because Sean Payton is simplifying the game for us. And what you do as a coach in that situation is you simplify the game, and then your quarterback gets confidence because they're doing the basic things, and that will give them the confidence to hit the home run, which we're getting closer to seeing. Cortland Sutton had one in this game where we all kind of thought he was going to break it. And I told y'all, man, the I told you so's are going to come hot and heavy if the Broncos keep this up. And if they end up over 500, the end of the season pod is going to be filled and just chock full of I told you so's. But first, before I start the I told you so's, I must first apologize to Vance Joseph. I called for his head, and I was wrong. I am glad to see that he is a professional and that he bounced back from the 70 burger, because that man has that defense dialed in, and I was wrong. I was wrong, and I am sorry. I apologize. I was wrong. But here come the I told you so's. I told you to wait. I told you to have patience with Sean Payton. Second cup of coffee has not kicked in yet. Because I said he was a good coach and he was going to turn things around. And look at what he's done. They have not been the prettiest wins. But you have, in this incredible win streak that the Broncos have put together, you have a dominant win against the Kansas City Chiefs. In this 5-game win streak, you have a dominant win against the Kansas City Chiefs. You have a tough-fought road win against the Bills, and then a dominant win against the number 1 defense in the league. So back to those team stats. As I said, the individual stats aren't going to jump off the page, but Broncos only have 249 yards of offense. Only, but whatever. The biggest thing is that they had 169 yards of rushing. 169 yards of rushing. They controlled the ground game. What does that mean? The Broncos had the ball for 33 minutes. 6 more minutes than Cleveland, which is a guaranteed score. The Broncos did have 8 penalties for 71 yards, and one of them was so dirt cheap. It was so garbage. I'm going to jump on it right now. There have been, like, the Kareem Jackson stuff, whatever. But the penalty that Baron Browning got, Broncos had stopped Cleveland. Baron Browning was off the field, helmet off, sitting on the bench. And because DTR was slow to get up, they threw the flag. That was the most ridiculous joke of a penalty call ever. And if I was just a little bit more of a conspiracy theorist, I would 100% believe that the refs were trying to continue the narrative of Cleveland is the return darling. Look at this team that's been complete dog doo-doo for 853 million years, and now they're surging. Because I don't know, bless you, I don't know what defensive players are supposed to do when you're telling them how to tackle, and they're tackling that way, and then they're getting flagged for it. They said he launched at DTR. No, his feet were on the ground when he hit him. They said he led with his head. No, he turned his head and led with his shoulder. But because DTR was slow to get up, and I'm not saying he milked it, and I'm not saying he wasn't hurt, but because he was slow to get up on a football play, Baron Browning gets a stupid penalty called against him, and the Browns were able to sustain the drive. But ball don't like, because the next play they fumbled it and we got it back. So, voila. The other thing that I want to highlight that's never going to jump off the page at you would have had to watch the game, is the offensive line play of the Broncos. Everybody was talking about how Myles Garrett was going to feast, because Garrett Bowles is susceptible to good pass rushers, and this and that and the other. Myles Garrett was non-existent in this game. I'm pulling up his stats live. Myles Garrett had 2 tackles. Only one of them was for a loss. He had 0 quarterback hits. 0. He had one play where he knocked down a pass and was in Russ's face. And everyone's like, oh, he's coming. No. And I guess he was hurt in this game, so that affects the pass rusher. His arm was hurt. And so as a pass rusher, that takes away some of your moveset. But dude led the league in sacks. Everybody's talking about how he's going to feast and how Russ is going to be horizontal. I even saw I turned on one of the Talking Head shows, and I usually don't, but I was trying to fold laundry and get my head in the game, and they talked about how the Browns were going to dominate and how Russell Wilson was going to be on his back most of the game. That is incorrect. Cleveland had 1 sack. So big ups to the offensive line for both keeping Russ vertical and also controlling the line of scrimmage in a way that let us have 169 yards rushing, 39 attempts, 4.3 yards per carry. We love that. And the Broncos were 3 for 5 in the red zone. The Broncos did it pretty much everything right in this game. They won the turnover battle 3-1. I mean, let's go back. If you go back to, I don't know, I can't remember what episode it is. Let's go back. I said, you win the turnover battle, you run the football, you're going to win games. And that's all they've done. That's not all they've done. But those two things have been the driving force in the 5-game win streak. And everybody's like, oh, it's not sustainable. They can't keep taking the ball away this much. Why not? We've seen other defenses do it. We've seen our Super Bowl 50 defense do it. I'm not saying they're that good. But why not? We have incredible playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. PS2, Justin Simmons, the Bash Brothers, Singleton and Josie Jewell. Zach Allen, y'all. Zach Allen with that safety. I've been so impressed with Zach Allen's work ethic. He's not always getting there, but he is good in the interior. He needs some help because he can't stop the run on his own. But the Broncos are figuring it out. They're continuing to figure it out, which I love. Broncos had 4 sacks in this game. Cleveland had 1. So let's get into those individuals. Because now I want to talk about stuff, and let's see what can jump off the page at us. Let's start with Russ. 13 of 22 for 134 and a tutty. And that touchdown was to Troutman. Let's see, if you're on the line of scrimmage going in, right side, and I remember Troutman, it was scramble drill, Troutman runs to his left, our right, makes that sliding catch, and it was like, as soon as he caught it, it was like the Cortland Sutton touchdown against the Chiefs. As soon as he caught it, I was like, that's a touchdown. Or was it? I can't. All the Cortland Sutton touchdowns are running together. But there was one in particular over the last 5 weeks. I was like, that's a touchdown. You better take a look at that because that's a touchdown. The Troutman one, as soon as he caught it, I was like, that's a touchdown. And our house was like, I don't know. And I was like, oh, that's a touchdown. And you get in and you see that there's green between his knee and his butt cheek and all that. And it's like, that's a touchdown. That's a blocking tight end making a touchdown catch like that. That ain't supposed to happen. And that's Russ extending the play again in the red zone. And last week I said I wish that we'd be a little more aggressive before the fourth quarter. And I started to see that a little bit more. But also we were in such control of the ground game that we didn't need to go away from it. So Russ is 1 touchdown. Great catch by Troutman. Good extension of the play by Russ. And teams are going to key on Sutton and Judy. Cortland Sutton and Jerry Judy. So you need the tight ends to become a bigger factor. I think, if Dulcich comes back and is actually healthy, God help the defenses that play against us. Because I think we're a tight end away from being just incredibly explosive. Our backs catch the ball well. They're starting to run the ball well. Sutton and Judy, if Judy wants to catch the ball, he's great. Cortland Sutton is the man. Period, end of story. If we have a dynamic receiving tight end, my goodness. Because now our offensive line is playing well too. Anywho. So you've got, let's go to those running backs. Again, 39 carries, 169 yards for rushing for the Broncos. Javonte Williams led the way, 18 carries, 65 yards. Samaje Perine did not have as many rushing yards as Javonte, but his yards per carry are ridiculous. 7 carries, 55 yards. He basically averaged 8 yards a touch with a touchdown. Russ had a touchdown. He had 11 carries for 34. They factor the sack into that. Yeah, you can say. That's right. I've got my co-host with me, Penny Quinn. She's been here the whole episode. She's been awesome. You've heard the blush yous and all that. My baby girl has been with me the whole morning, and it's been great. Broncos were dominant. They were dominant on the ground, through the air. Again, 134 is not a lot, but Court had 3 catches for 61 and a long of 31. Marvin had 2 of 24. And you know what? Marvin Mims actually had a positive gain on the end around, which I have called for that to be erased from the playbook, but we actually ran the oop-de-oop right. So things are looking up, ladies and gentlemen. The Broncos, again, in control of their own destiny, today play 11 o'clock kick, noon Central, in Houston. The Texans sit currently tied with the Broncos in record, but have a tiebreaker due to division wins and all this jazz, which I don't get paid enough to break down. But Broncos win. They go Broncos. They take their playoff chances from, I think we're sitting at like 36%. They win today. They're 50% chance to make the playoffs. It is crazy how in control of their own destiny that the Broncos are. And it's the first time that we've been in this much control since we won a Super Bowl. So I am pumped for today's game. It's a noon kickoff here in Dallas, 11 p.m. Mountain, or 11 a.m. Mountain, not 11 p.m. You better get your mind right. Get that orange and blue on, because this house is about to be off the chain. Hey, Quinn, what you got for me, baby? That's right, because in this house,
we praise the Lord and cheer for them Denver Broncos.
we got a lot of indoor sports going on this week. Don't forget to check out all the shows on social media. Give us a follow over on X. And a big fat Mile High salute from me and Penny. This is Aaron signing off from the top of the mountain. You've been listening to Mile High Sports here on IE Sports Radio, or Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Go Broncos!